Well, friends, I've got some devastating news on the old 450 revival. Made a lot of headway. I actually got it all together and running and riding around. And in the last episode, when we were having transmission issues, when I was putting the motor back together, I apparently did not have it fixed. I only have first gear. So I started tearing it back apart, and I've got to tear the motor back apart and figure out what's going on. I don't really know. I've got neutral and first, that's it. So I don't know if I have a bushing in there wrong or something wrong with that shift fork drum or what the deal is, but unfortunately the motor's got to come back out and split the cases and figure out what's going on. So that's what we're going to work on now. It's pretty unfortunate. I was hoping to go racing soon, but not quite yet, I suppose. Well, I got the motor on the bench here all tore apart, and I was hoping that this shift fork here was just out of time and that was my problem, so that I didn't have to split the case, but I think that's correct. So unfortunately, I guess we gotta tear deeper into it and figure out what the problem is, but no biggie, we'll get it fixed. Now I must say, as frustrating as all this is, we all want to get bikes together, go riding. The one nice thing about this time around, everything's clean, everything's easy to come apart, everything's easy to get to, and you're not taking stuff apart and finding a bunch of surprises, I'll say. So, gotta take the good with the bad. We'll get it figured out and move forward. Alright, so unfortunately, when I split this case, everything just kind of fell apart. So I really don't have a chance to see what I did wrong. I don't. So my theory is I had this in like the first video. I thought I had this in there wrong, but I'm wondering if I had one of these gears switched around, because these, I don't know if you guys can see that, but these are meant to lock in when you put it in gear, and I'm wondering if I had one of these backwards so it just wasn't engaging. But like I said, it sucks because I can't see now. But anyways, I'm on Partzilla here, and I'm sure all of you watching this knows about Partzilla, but it gives you the schematic and the breakdown of every piece and part and the way it's supposed to go in the sequence. And so I guess what I'm going to do is just match this and put it all back together and see what happens. But we will we'll see. Shrink that down a little bit. I hate using the computer out here because I get oil all over it, but yeah, I guess just kind of match that and put it back together and see what happens. As soon as you think you got your engine bench big enough, you don't. So anyways, I got this gear cluster matched up with what Partzilla's schematic says. And then I'm realizing I should probably, well, I guess there's not that much, get this gasket cleaned off of here. That's the other downfall too, is my gasket isn't going to be here till tomorrow, my gasket kit. But we will see if we can get this figured out anyhow. Alright, so that can lay there for a second. Then, here's the million-dollar question, is if this is right. Or if we can get it right. Which I'm not seeing those on the schematic, so I'm going to have to do a little searching here. But I really feel like there should only be one way they can go. I don't know. We'll have to play around with it to see, I guess. There goes that. So put that there. Take this off. You always want to try to, if you're taking something like this apart, you always want to try to keep them in order so that it's easier. I mean, obviously you got your schematic you can look at, but I'm going to need a pair of ring pliers. What's up, dirt bike friends? Back out here in the shop today. Unfortunately, the 450 is back on the scissor lift, as we see. This 250 project was on there, going good, and then I had to put that on hold and throw this old girl back up there because I don't think, when I first rebuilt the motor and got it back together, I had the transmission issue and I tore the motor back apart, found what was wrong. That one gear I had on there backwards, so it was hitting the flat spot on the gear and not the grooved side where it locks into second gear and go from there. But anyways, got that fixed, fired up, rode it around a bunch, and I thought everything was good, and then all of a sudden it just started quitting. Like, not a fuel issue, like an electrical issue, like it would just shut off. So then I got talking to a cousin of mine, which went to school for mechanics and everything on bikes and quads and stuff, and he said that he actually had a KTM that did the same thing, and it turned out the CDI box was bad. It would just kind of get up to a certain temperature on the bike itself and just lose spark. So I had another CDI box, I put that on there, and it's given me fits. It used to fire up first or second kick and run good, and now I can't get it to start. So I'm starting to think I'm going to pull the valve cover off and get it top dead center, make sure the timing is still where it needs to be, make sure it didn't jump a tooth or something crazy like that, and check the valve clearances, make sure they're okay, because something's going on. But gonna dive into it here today and hopefully get it figured out. There's a night cross race coming up this weekend that I'd really like to make the 450 debut in, but I don't know if we're gonna make it. Don't want to take a bike there that's not gonna run good and just cause me headaches all night. But anyways, we're gonna throw some wrenches at this old girl and try to figure out what's going on with it. I can't begin to tell you how many times in the past week I've had this gas tank off of here. Pretty sure I do it in my sleep now, but yeah, at first I thought, well, I was having an issue with the carburetor. It kept overflowing and flooding itself out. As soon as you turn the gas on, it would just start pouring out. So I obviously knew there was an issue there. I tried cleaning it once, that didn't work. I tried putting a very cheap rebuild kit in it, that didn't work. And then I actually ended up taking apart the carburetor for the 250, which is the same thing, and stealing parts out of it to get it to stop doing that. For now, I gotta order some better stuff. Don't cheap out. When you see those rebuild kits on Amazon, don't cheap out. They're not worth it, because taking the carburetor off of one of these bikes is terrible. So gotta take the subframe off, the gas tank off, undo a bunch of stuff, throttle cables, electrical throttle position sensor. It was just a terrible time. But what I'm doing now is, before I get too crazy, I'm going to pull the plug out of this, and it's awful wet. Could still be a spark issue, I guess. I don't know. I tested the spark and it was good. But anyways, I want to just stick a scope down in there, make sure the piston and everything's okay. And also getting it top dead center and whatever, it's a lot easier with the plug knot in it, obviously. But yeah, so let me grab that. I'm not sure. I was gonna try to go to Ohio Vintage Days this year. Not sure if that's gonna work out or not. It's at the end of next month, which is only a month away. And I've been trying to find a vintage bike to take down with me and actually race there, but time's ticking. I've been kind of striking out on the bike situation. It's my fault. I don't have a very big budget to do it, so I've been kind of cheaping out. Looking at $500 bikes and stuff. But yeah, so anyways, it's wet in there, like it's, let me try to get that piston down a little bit. So, the piston seems to be okay from the looks of things. I can see a little bit of the cylinder wall. Not a lot. It is wet in there though, like it's getting fuel in there and not sparking, but I don't know. But when we're this far into it, I'm going to pop that valve cover off. Just make sure the timing and everything's still good. Make sure it didn't jump a tooth or something. I also learned that on the one cam, the hole is supposed to line up with the hole, and I saw a video on YouTube the other day that the alignment actually spun on it, so that was throwing the guy off, and he fought it and never knew it. So yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I'm not sure. I'd like to at least go down and check out Ohio, check out the show and the races and stuff. Obviously I want to race there, but time's ticking. Maybe next year, unless a miracle happens here real soon. But we'll see. I'm cheap. If I had $5 grand to throw at it, I could definitely have a nice bike to take, but I'm not throwing $5 grand at a vintage bike right now. The budget does not allow it, so we'll see. These cap screws out. It's kind of tricky to get to. What size is it? 6. Let me get a socket. Be a lot easier. I always dread taking this valve cover off because you gotta put silicone around where these, half circles are on all the corners and stuff. So I hate taking it off just to break that seal, but it is what it is. I actually have a new gasket for it, I believe, here someplace. So worst case scenario, we can just put a new gasket on. Nothing looks crazy bad right off the get-go. Chain still has tension on it. But I'll pull these plugs, get it top dead center, and see what that looks like. Alright, so I got the cap all torqued down. I said between 7 and 9 foot-pounds. I went 8. I like to be in the middle somewhere. Cam still spins, good to go. The spec on the intake was between 0.10 and 0.15 millimeters. I have a 0.10 here. Just slide it in that lobe. Feels good. Now you want to just be able to feel a little resistance. You don't want to have to shove it in there. You don't want to, obviously you don't want it to just slide in easy, but you want just a little resistance, and that's good. So being at the tightest, that we want to be, and having a little resistance, I think we're going to roll with that. So the intake is good. I'll do the same thing for the exhaust. We'll get it back in timing and hopefully have easier starting.
I guess you call it. It's basically like
Hey guys, so I just wanted to point out, like I said about not putting the chain all on and everything when I check to see if the shim's going to work. You want to make sure when you do that, you want to make sure that you're holding the cam gear in line where it's going to be at top dead center when you check it. You don't want it flopping around in there or whatever. You might get a bad reading. So just to be sure, you want that dot on this Suzuki, you want the dots even with the top of the cylinder head. But like I said, I just did the exhaust shims and I had that cap and exhaust cam out of there probably 10 times before I found the one that worked good. So anyways, we're back in tolerance now. I got the chain put back on there. It is in time. Just gonna put the valve cover and spark plug and everything back together here, and hopefully get it fired up. Moment of truth. Now I must be honest, I kicked this bike numerous times, struggling a little bit. My hot start plunger was pulled out and I didn't realize it until a few moments later. But anyways, after I got this bike started and the carburetor adjusted properly, the bike starts first or second kick every single time I pull it off the stand. And it's working good. Well, she runs.
Let's just get this one. So looks good.
Cool beans. Well, friends, we did end up making the night cross. It was okay. Haven't rode in probably 6-8 months, but ended up finished 7th in my first moto, 8th in my second moto, so 8th overall. But either way, bike ran great all night. No issues with it. Suspension needs a little dialing. After I rebuilt the forks and shocks, I definitely need to play around with some testing and try to get those dialed in a little bit. But yeah, it stayed together and had a successful night. My body isn't broke, my bike isn't broke, so it was definitely win-win. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching this 450 revival, and the next project is going to be kind of an interesting one. I think you guys will like it. We got the RMZ450 still underway. We're just waiting for parts on that. But the next one's going to be pretty fun, I think. So stay tuned. Thanks, guys.